It is 2022 and we are celebrating 40 years of Muskaan. It has been an incredible journey. From a tiny room to a beautiful building, from 3 trainees to 200, from 2 teachers to 40, but always, always infused with respect, compassion and transparency. Our learnings over the past 4 decades have been wide, deep, and very often startling. Our students have shown us how much farther they can go, well beyond our expectations. People with intellectual disabilities think, feel, dream, and aspire like all of us. And like all of us, their emotional well-being is central to their growth. They deserve a life of dignity, where they are loved and valued for who they are. Our aim is to empower them with the skills that will give them a life of fulfillment and dignity. Our mandate is to work towards a time when the world will replace the word disability with diversity. So what is Muskaan? Let us listen to a few voices from people who have been the friends of Muskaan going back 40 years. Dr. I.C. Verma was at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences.
When I started at All India Institute of Medical Sciences as a young geneticist, I used to get many parents bringing their children with Down syndrome. And I found that I could, as a medical person, help only to a limited extent. How to bring up the child, how to manage the daily affairs, the parents had to do it themselves. And I realized that it would be very good to make an organization of the parents. The key element was to find the right people to lead the organization. So we found Dr. Shanti ji. She was a real leader, and she had this congenial personality, taking everybody with her.
What struck me right from the beginning, that how much social prejudices and unfair kind of judgment that we often carry for others, I realized that those kind of things can impoverish some people's lives to such an extent. And that made me feel a sense that there is so much injustice which is happening to children and adults with intellectual disability. Now, often we talk about these things, but somewhere in my conscience, it was emerging enough of talking. Do something if you can.
And then I think another very key element was the allotment of a space for starting the school. Because once that space was allotted, it was a great effort by Mr. Olak to get this space all allotted. And then there was the motive. Then we had an objective that here is the space, now we need the money for making the building.
Mr. Santosh Olak was the principal architect of the Muskaan building.
When we got this land, it was undulating land. And there was a 4-meter wide, 3-meter deep gorge going through the site. We could not build into the gorge, so we should use it as it is, or we do this next best thing, we widen the gorge and use that area as a lower area of the Muskaan. That also helped us by providing a ramp, making 2 floors easily approached for anybody who has a problem walking and things like that.
For the construction of the building, a substantial proportion of the funds came from our friends in the US.
Yeah, so we would visit when I was younger, and then when I turned 25, I started doing fundraisers myself and involving my group of friends, and started to bring awareness that way. And we would, we'd throw a party essentially, but then we would also sell like the diyas and the paper.
Poonam Olak, Shanti's niece, and I teamed together and said, hey, Let's tell them what it's all about. Maybe that'll make them change their minds. So we hosted a fundraiser at my place, and the presentation was primarily given by Poonam, and my daughter Shalini also contributed to it. And she presented some facts and figures, some videos, which was an eye-opener to everybody.
All our training programs have been devised by our own research and evolution. Mrs. Neerja Pandit came on board to teach cognitive skills to our trainees.
Language and communication was the base through that which we worked. That is the only thing you could reach out the child and get your feedback and understanding. So that was the biggest tool, which I named it as creative cognitive language development.
Along with life skills and vocational skills, we teach cognitive skills, which focus on comprehension, reasoning, conceptual learning, communication, and problem-solving skills. After training, students are placed in our work units, where the teachers are often supported by volunteers. Mrs. Neelam Malhotra adapted the skill of making pickles and taught it to the trainees at Muskaan.
My active involvement with Muskaan started around 2005 when I shared my mother's lemon pickle recipe with the Muskaan team, and I worked in their kitchen developing the product. We did work on the recipes and methods to suit their capabilities, and we did customize some of them, but I was surprised, really pleasantly surprised to see the results. They picked up very fast and taught me a lot.
The backbone of Muskaan is its team: teachers, support staff, volunteers. This is a surprisingly ego-free ecosystem where collaborative teamwork flourishes without any power struggles. Mrs. Chitra Rajagopal came to Muskaan as a volunteer and taught yoga and music.
So we actually ran also an orchestra for some of the performances, where each one was given some kind of instrument which they could play, but the rhythm had to be kept in mind. And interestingly, there was a trainee who had behavioral issues, and it was wonderful to see that with percussion, with just some rhythm, his behavior changed for the better, and he was calm through the day. The greatest achievements, I think, the way they handled COVID with online training. That's why I feel Muskaan always re-engineers itself, you know. Any problem is seen as an opportunity. Also employability. Finding corporates or other organizations that can employ Muskaan trainees.
Ms. Aradhana Lal is with Lemon Tree Hotels, who have employed many Muskaan trainees.
When we decided to go into the intellectual disability space, in fact, that was my personal assignment, we realized that we have to go back to the drawing board and start all over again from what is this disability all about? What are the requirements of a person with an intellectual or developmental disability? How shall we integrate them? How shall we train them? And most importantly, how shall we get the rest of the team to be ready for them? With the help of Muskaan, in fact, we understood that the way to train them would be through demonstration and role play. And the outcome is clear. We've got boys and girls working with us for 7 years, 8 years. And it's not like they're hanging around, not at all. The team members are asking for them. And for 2 years due to COVID, they were not at work because the risk of COVID was too high for them, especially Down syndrome. When they came back after 2 years, by then the managers had already asked more than 20 times that when are they coming back, when are they coming back? And they're all back and they're working so well. On the second day, the managers said, my God, it doesn't even look like these people were away for 2 years. Like, it's amazing.
We continue mentoring our students even after they are placed in mainstream organizations. We were conducting online sessions for mainstream employees and our other students during COVID times to provide various learning inputs. Muskaan partnered with the Skill Council for People with Disability to develop standardized job roles for intellectual disability, which will be used pan-India. Mr. Ravindra Singh is the CEO of the Skill Council for People with Disability.
Skilling of intellectually disabled individuals is no different as compared to skilling of anybody else. So the methodology of training of these individuals has to be more designed towards how an individual learns. And same thing applies to a person with intellectual disability. So I'd like to really congratulate Shanti Aulakji and her team for Muskaan completing 40 years of their wonderful work that they have been doing. They have been the backbone of skilling of people with intellectual disabilities for years now, working with industry, with government. We have been able to roll out some of international projects in collaboration with Muskaan. So they're doing a brilliant job, and I'd really like to thank them for that. And we hope this association continues in future.
As a landmark initiative, we set up an assisted living facility in 2012, which runs like a home away from home.
What I like when I visit it is that everybody seems happy. They are all in a happy mood, talking with each other, collaborating with each other, helping each other. So that's very important. There is no rancor or anything of that type.
Based on our learnings, we have a few messages for society. Do not underestimate the capacities of persons with intellectual disability. Provide appropriate education, training, and employment opportunities for them. Create meaningful roles everywhere for them, including at home, and treat them as adults and not always as children. Muskaan is a professionally run, joyful place, just as the name suggests. It is a place where dreams and aspirations are realized. A place where magic happens. Muskaan, towards a life of dignity.